All right, Ryan. So ending off the season here in Brussels, I mean, kind of talk me through how this competition felt for you.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I'm a little disappointed with second place, obviously, but it was, as far as what I could control, pretty happy with it. This year has been difficult, but end of the season, I mean, throwing pretty well. 5 over 22, multiple over 2250, which like it's a pretty exceptional series on paper, and so would have liked to have won, but Fabry, hats off to him, throwing a PR in the last meet of the year, very impressive. So he earned it, and so the consistency was there. Just the only frustrating thing is not catching the big one. Anytime you're consistent, like in that 22 mid, you know there's a 23 plus throw in the tank, so just didn't connect on it today, which was a bit frustrating considering it was most likely there.
I mean, at the top of the year, obviously, well, but early in the outdoor season, you were dealing with the setbacks with the knee, elbow injury.
Yeah.
Was there any point where, I don't know, you had, you didn't think that you'd be able to get back to, yourself?
Yeah, there was a lot of self-doubt, and that was one big issue that I struggled with this year, especially earlier in the year, or like the month or so before trials. I got cleared to throw the week of Prefontaine is when I kind of actually started throwing again, and it was going pretty terrible, and we kind of focused on frequency, so I had to make the decision, do I kind of chase some high intensity throws, but those would set me back, so it would take 3, 4, or 5 days to bounce back with the elbow just to get back to throwing again, or do I kind of throw easy and then take a day and then throw easy and kind of try and get the frequency in at a lower intensity. And so that's the route I went, and then the times that I ramped it up and chased intensity, it went really bad. So my most notable one was like I took 8 hard throws, and 2 of them were over 20 meters, and at best at 20 meters 20. So that was concerning for sure. Just not knowing if I would get back to the level that I needed to be successful in the sport.
And so we did speak about a little bit on audio, just the American Shot Put League, and it's kind of coming to fruition, potentially to at least initially launch in 2025. What are you kind of looking forward to with that? What are some of the things that you have in motion?
Yeah, so kind of the goal of it, I think, is to obviously highlight the field events, and starting with shot put, because I feel like it's one of the easier ones, and using the fact that the throws are very underpaid, not to our advantage, so to say, but using it to our advantage in that we can host meets quite affordably, where you can get top 8 guys in the world that are coming out and competing for $1,000. You can't do that in hardly any sport, let alone most track events. So we can put on an exceptional meet at cheaper than the competition, and to launch, that's a huge asset. And so that's kind of where the thought process is using our weakness as a strength. But then my whole idea behind it is we've followed the track and field playbook has been the same since the 1970s. We focus on track events and nothing against the sprints or distance, but we've had the exact same playbook for the last 50 years, and you've seen a heavy decline of track and field focus in the U.S., and yet we still go do the same playbook. And now we're revolutionizing track and field with these leagues that are the same playbook in a sport that is unfortunately dying in the U.S. And so in the modern social media era, you have 10 seconds and 100 to really create that content, where in the throws you have 40 plus attempts, and to have fast action cuts, and we don't make the most of that as an event, and as a sport we also don't. So I feel like in the modern era of shortened attention spans, all of that, you can't expect an audience to sit there for 30 minutes to watch a 10-second 100. Them going from call room 1 to call room 2 to the blocks to start to 30 minutes of analysis doesn't make sense with a modern audience. And so if I can show fast action, decisive attempts, I think that's where the Shot Put League will kind of shine, and making it more for an American audience. So just making it to things that people can relate, fast action, put refs in zebra striped uniforms, stuff like that. Just make it understandable for Americans.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure that you're getting a lot of people to kind of buy into it, whether it's some of the other shot putters that are really buying into it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the guys are excited about it. They know the value and potential of the event. And the other thing we struggle with in track and field is shot putters. We predominantly apply ourselves in track and field with just mostly runners. So you're trying to gain market share from runners and the fans are runners. And so like it makes sense that shot is not the most popular event. But you've seen a massive growth in strength sports in the US in the last 10 to 20 years. Strongmen went from being way poorer than shot putters to now they're making 7 figures. And so you've seen massive growth in strength sports, CrossFit as well. And so the strength culture in the US is on the rise, and I think shot put needs to tap into that. Obviously, for world champs and Olympics, I'd love to see us back in the stadium, but taking the event to other events outside of track and field and exposing what makes shot put impressive to the audience that it's impressive to is what we do poorly right now, and I think where the sport will grow.
Is there going to be balance with, of course, Diamond Leagues, Continental Tours? Like, shot putters, y'all compete very frequently throughout the year. Like, how are you going to balance your league with some of the other competitions?
Yeah, so that'll be a bit of a challenge, obviously, is figuring out a schedule that works for the athletes, because the last thing I wanted to do is take away from performance at the majors. And so I think that for the longest time, we've been focused on kind of a season that runs from spring till summer, and it's easier to put these rapid fire attempts after the majors. Like I've done 6 comps in the last 20 days. You can't do that before a major. So with World Champs being the last meet, I think we probably do our series in the fall after World Champs, where you can get into a competition frequency and not have it cost you a World Champs or Olympic title.
So in theory, like, obviously Tokyo is in September after Tokyo.
Yeah, but I wanted to go fast, so I wanted to go in like multiple comps, so that it's almost a replacement for training. So it'd be a true series. You have like a season that comp, like compete, travel, shakeout day, compete, so that you can actually have a true series that builds on each other. You have stories and timelines instead of compete 6 weeks, compete twice, 4 weeks, compete, and then a major. I'd like to see it be an actual series and an actual season.
Disappointed in any way with Michael Johnson to not include the throws or the jumps in his league?
I mean, disappointed that it's not in it, but I mean, I can understand why they're trying to focus on what they're doing. I personally think that it's a bit of a mistake, but it's up to him. It's their league. I can't complain too much about the decisions that they're making. I think if anything, it provides an opportunity for the field events to grow. And yeah, we've done the same thing in track and field for the last 50 years of focusing on track events more and more and more, and showing less and less field events. And so they're going all in on track events, but if you look at the massive decline in track popularity, it coincides with a focus on track events. So they can do that. I think the field events starting a separate league or an event-focused series is kind of the future of the sport if we want to remain relevant.
And about your league, is only for support or more?
I'm sorry, what was that?
And what about your league? Tell us more.